We're less than 2 weeks away from the next Disney-positive live-action Star Wars show with Ahsoka, as the character makes her return to the small screen in her own show, after being introduced in live-action in Season 2 of The Mandalorian. They have been marketing the crap out of this show with about 7 different trailers and teaser trailers out for it at this point, and it comes as no surprise to us now based on the news of Disney Plus's recent subscriber losses. Taking place in the same general time frame as The Mandalorian Season 3 and the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka is supposed to focus on Ahsoka Tano's search for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Along with hoping to end the threat Thrawn poses to the galaxy, he's also the last person to have seen her old buddy Ezra, who she's looking for as well. For the uninitiated, Ahsoka Tano is Anakin Skywalker's former Padawan, introduced to us in the Clone Wars. Snips, as Anakin called her, eventually left the Jedi Order after they didn't believe her claims of innocence when she was accused of bombing the Jedi Temple. She forged her own path outside the Order and would go on to appear in the Clone Wars show, Star Wars Rebels, and had some appearances in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, during the episodes that Baby Yoda and Mando hijacked from Boba Fett's story. After years of being his Padawan, Ahsoka faced off with Anakin after he became Darth Vader in Rebels, and barely escaped with her life. So there's some history between the two. And it's pretty much confirmed that we will see Anakin in some form in the Ahsoka show. And I reworded that sentence so that I wouldn't be saying we will see Anakin in Ahsoka. The trailers for Ahsoka have introduced us to 2 new baddies, Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, 2 dark Jedi who are working on behalf of Thrawn. They are apparently Order 66 survivors, because Disney Star Wars doesn't have enough Jedi surviving the Great Purge already, furthering Disney's goal of making the Great Purge look as successful as a wet fart. The 2 of them wield orange lightsabers, which likely signifies that they've fallen from the light side, but are not out-and-out Darksiders, nor Sith. We also get glimpses of Thrawn and the Magistrate, who we met briefly in Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Thrawn is going to be the big bad in Star Wars for this era. He was finally mentioned in Season 3 of The Mandalorian, and he'll eventually be returning to the known galaxy at some point to resurrect the Empire in some form. We don't know exactly what role the Magistrate will play in all of this, but she likely knows Thrawn's location. Joining Ahsoka in her quest are several recognizable characters from Star Wars Rebels. Notable among them are Sabine Wren, the wayward Mandalorian who fights the power by doing graffiti, and Hera Syndulla, a scrappy pilot who's the daughter of a former freedom fighter and who herself became a prominent figure in the early days of the rebellion against the Empire. Both of them were part of the Ghost Crew along with Ezra Bridger, the Jedi in training who everyone is trying to find after he went missing with Thrawn. And then there's Chopper, this droid who is pretty funny because he's an asshole. There are some other characters returning from Star Wars Rebels, but these are the important ones. And we'll possibly see Captain Rex as well. At this point, we have 7 trailers for Ahsoka, and I must say that from what we've seen, especially in the second one, this show is looking pretty damn ambitious. They're packed to the gills with ship battles and lightsaber fights, the type of action that many fans, hardcore and casual alike, have been wanting more of. While Andor was a good show, a common complaint was that it lacked Force users and lightsabers, and some of the things that really define Star Wars for many people. And, well, Ahsoka looks much more like what you'd expect from the franchise. One thing that bugs me, however, from the trailers is non-Force sensitive Sabine crossing streams with Shin Hati. And the reason this bugs me is that once upon a time in Star Wars, Force users had some ability to fend off an opponent using the Force on them as long as they were not caught by surprise. This is why you don't see Vader just Force choking Luke and ragdolling him around. It was an in-universe explanation of why 2 Force users would bother using lightsabers against one another. So, in theory, with Sabine not being Force sensitive, Shin should just be slamming her lifeless corpse off the walls in this scene. So either this shielding ability is gone in Star Wars, Shin wants to fight Sabine on fair terms, or Sabine is now Force sensitive. And 2 of those options suck, so as a Star Wars fan, the scene has me concerned. More recent trailers make it seem like they've given Sabine the Force, because fuck it, just give everyone the super rare hero-defining ability. Who cares at this point? The creators certainly don't. Ahsoka comes at a critical time for a brand that's bleeding fans after several years of weak show offerings and a 6-year hiatus from Star Wars movies. The Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, and the 3rd season of The Mandalorian all cleaved off significant chunks of viewers and fans who have soured on all things Disney Star Wars. Coupled with the fact that Disney Plus just took a massive subscriber dump, this makes Ahsoka a must-win for Disney. Many have walked away never to return, and Ahsoka faces an uphill battle to rekindle their love of Star Wars. The reception of the trailers and the show in general so far has been mostly positive, but we won't know until the viewership numbers start coming in if Ahsoka is able to pull people back to the brand. Many more serious Star Wars fans have faith that creator Dave Filoni's experience with the Clone Wars, Rebels, and learning under George Lucas himself will lead to a great Star Wars story, the kind that those fans all knew and loved. Now personally, I'm lukewarm on Filoni. He did a great job with the Clone Wars show, although if you really examine it, there's a ton of storylines and episodes worth skipping. Rebels was executed pretty well, but the story and the characters were not on the same level as the Clone Wars. My main problem with Filoni is his complete obsession with Ahsoka, the character he created. With a story like Star Wars, you have tons and tons of in-universe history to work with, and more importantly, history and lore you need to work around. And Filoni always values Ahsoka's presence over what makes sense in the larger Star Wars story. Appreciating something you created and wanting to utilize it more is fine, but Ahsoka needs to take a back seat to the more important stories in the Star Wars universe, and Filoni doesn't seem to understand that. Beyond that, Filoni seems to want to add things into Star Wars first and foremost because he likes them and thinks they're cool, and asking whether or not those things actually fit in the universe seems like an afterthought. Just like with the Sabine and Shin fight scene, Filoni thinks it would be cool, so he puts it in, even if it doesn't make any sense. He likes wolves, so he throws wolves into the show every chance he gets. He's obsessed with Ahsoka, so she survives everything and never dies, and is apparently doing fuck all during the events of the original Star Wars trilogy, and her existence completely changes the stakes of that good original story. He likes whales, so he throws in some space whales that fart into hyperspace. Not a fan of any of it. He seems far less concerned with the rules of the sandbox he's playing in than someone in his position should be. He also opened the door for time travel in the Star Wars universe, the hallmark of lazy writing. And despite Filoni himself saying that the world between worlds wasn't time travel, Ezra, in Rebels, reached through a portal through space and time and interacted with Ahsoka on the other side. In other words, his physical form traveled to a different time and altered the course of events. Then Filoni himself tried to turn the discussion into a battle of semantics. And the video, with the most views going over why this event wasn't time travel, literally just relies on Filoni saying it's not time travel, and is devoid of any reasoning as to why it's not. Long story short, I've never been a fan of Filoni, and he's been massively overrated by fans simply because of how good he looks compared to the likes of everyone else over at Lucasfilm now. The first 2 episodes of Ahsoka are coming on Wednesday, August 23rd, but premiering at midnight like with previous Star Wars shows. Then the remaining 6 episodes will run over the next 6 weeks. Now with previous Star Wars Disney Plus shows that air at midnight, I've been trying to get the episode reviews up that same day, and we've had mixed success. So for Ahsoka, the reviews may come the following day on Thursdays, just a heads up. That said, we will be doing the typical HateWatchers comedy reviews for each episode, as well as a season review when it's all said and done. So good or bad, there will be a lot of Ahsoka coverage over the next 2 months. But what about you? Are you looking forward to Ahsoka with its return to Jedi, lightsabers, and the Force? Or has Disney Star Wars spurned you too many times to earn your interest? Let us know in the comments. And remember to hit that subscribe button to join us back here at HateWatchers every week to go over each and every episode of Ahsoka, good or bad. Thank you for joining this rebellion today, and we'll catch you on the next one.